Look up at the night sky. Beyond the streetlights, beyond the clouds, and far beyond the orbit of our own moon, a quiet majesty awaits. We often look at the stars and feel overwhelmed by the sheer, unimaginable scale of the universe. The vastness can seem terrifying. But what if, instead of fear, that endless space offered you a profound sense of peace? What if the grandest, most turbulent planets were actually a source of deep, hypnotic tranquility? Today, we are going on a journey you can take with your eyes gently closed from the comfort of your own room. We are traveling to the jewel of our solar system, Saturn. For over a decade, NASA's Cassini spacecraft danced around this ringed giant, capturing its beauty from afar. But eventually, looking was no longer enough. NASA decided it was time to touch the untouchable. They sent Cassini plunging directly into the planet. What they found in those final intimate moments is a story that will change how you see the universe. It is a story of cosmic rain, silent voids, and a beautiful sacrifice. Take a deep breath. Let the noise of the Earth fade away. We are about to touch Saturn. To truly appreciate the magnitude of this moment, we must first understand the journey. The solar system is a vast, echoing expanse of mostly empty space. To reach Saturn, you must cross over 700 million miles of frigid, silent void. It is a place where the light of our sun becomes nothing more than a brilliantly cold star in the dark. In 1997, a spacecraft named Cassini-Huygens left the warm embrace of Earth. For 7 long years, it slept through the darkness, coasting on the invisible currents of gravity. It swung past Venus, flew by Earth, and gathered speed from Jupiter, a cosmic slingshot propelling it deeper into the unknown. Finally, in 2004, it awoke. It had arrived at a world of pale gold and impossibly complex rings. For 13 years, Cassini became our eyes and ears. It revealed an entire miniature solar system. It showed us moons with hidden oceans, skies of orange smog, and rings made of shattered ice. But every journey must come to an end. The spacecraft was running out of fuel. Rather than letting it drift aimlessly, risking a collision with the pristine moons, scientists made a bold choice, a poetic choice. They would send Cassini on a grand finale, a series of daring dives closer to the planet than ever before, ending with a final, fatal plunge into Saturn's atmosphere. This was not a failure. It was the ultimate embrace. Imagine the quietest place you have ever been. Now, multiply that silence by infinity. This is the void between Earth and Saturn. The journey begins with a profound sense of detachment. We are leaving the chaotic noise of the city. We are leaving the busy highways, the endless notifications, the weight of daily life. As we drift further away, the Earth becomes a pale blue dot, a tiny speck of dust suspended in a sunbeam. There is no wind here. There is no sound. There is only the steady, calming momentum of floating through the dark. This is a journey for those who are tired of thinking. You do not need to do anything but listen and imagine. The heavy burdens you carry on Earth simply cannot survive in the vacuum of space. They burn away, leaving only a sense of weightlessness. You are safe in the dark. You are moving toward the light of a distant giant. After years of drifting, a faint glow begins to emerge from the black canvas of space. It is not a harsh light, it is soft, almost pastel, a giant sphere of pale gold, muted yellow, and soft cream. This is our first true glimpse of Saturn. From a distance, it looks peaceful. It looks like a painting, suspended in a gallery of nothingness. The sheer size of it is impossible to comprehend, yet it does not evoke fear. It evokes a deep, settling awe. Imagine a pearl, infinitely large, wrapped in a shimmering halo. The slow rotation of the planet creates a mesmerizing rhythm. It is spinning, yet it appears completely still. This paradox is the secret of Saturn. It is a world of immense energy, yet it presents a face of absolute serenity. Just looking at it, your heartbeat begins to slow, matching the ancient, sweeping orbit of this ancient world. But what about the rings? We must look closer at the halo that crowns this giant. For centuries, humanity looked through telescopes and believed these rings were solid. A common myth we carried from childhood is that you could land on them, perhaps walk along their golden paths. But Cassini showed us the truth, and the truth is far more beautiful. The rings are not solid tracks. They are a delicate, intricate dance of countless particles. Imagine trillions of snowflakes, ice cubes and frozen boulders, all locked in a synchronized ballet around the planet. They are reflecting the distant sunlight, creating the illusion of a solid band. They do not crash into each other violently. They glide, they nudge, they move with a fluid grace. The rings are a river of ice, flowing endlessly around the waist of the golden giant. To understand the rings, we must appreciate their incredible scale. It is a bright example of nature's extremes. If you were to stretch the main rings of Saturn out, they would comfortably fit in the space between the Earth and our Moon. They are vast, stretching across hundreds of thousands of miles, and yet they are impossibly thin. In some places, the rings are no thicker than a two-story building. Imagine a sheet of paper the size of a city. That is the geometry of Saturn's rings. They are fragile, they are delicate. As Cassini prepared for its final act, it had to navigate this delicate architecture. It had to fly incredibly close to the outer edges of this icy ocean. The spacecraft's cameras captured the shadows cast by the tallest peaks of ice within the rings, revealing a textured, three-dimensional world that had never been seen before. Even in the vacuum of space, there is music. It is not the music of air and sound waves, but the music of electromagnetic energy. As Cassini flew near the rings, its instruments recorded the interaction of plasma waves. When scientists converted these waves into audio, they heard something astonishing, a rhythmic, whistling, sweeping sound. It sounds like a gentle wind blowing through an alien forest, or the sound of a cosmic singing bowl. This is the song of space dust hitting the spacecraft. It is the voice of the magnetic field wrapping around the planet. Listening to this translated sound provides a foolproof way to relax. It is the white noise of the universe. The chaotic energy of particles is transformed into a soothing, hypnotic hum. It reminds us that even in the darkest, coldest places, there is harmony and vibration. Now we reach the heart of the grand finale, the decision to dive. Why would NASA intentionally destroy such a perfect machine? The answer lies in the beautiful moons of Saturn. Cassini had discovered that moons like Enceladus possessed hidden oceans of liquid water under their icy crusts. These oceans are warm. They have the chemical ingredients necessary for life. If Cassini were left to drift, it might one day crash into these pristine environments, contaminating them with microbes from Earth. To protect these potential havens of life, the spacecraft had to be disposed of safely, and the safest place was inside Saturn itself. This was a noble sacrifice, a machine built by human hands, returning to the cosmic elements, all to protect a fragile, unseen ecosystem. It is a testament to our respect for the unknown. The path to the end required threading a cosmic needle. Cassini had to dive through a narrow gap, the space between the innermost ring and the upper atmosphere of the planet. No spacecraft had ever ventured here. It was a region of complete mystery. Scientists expected danger. They expected the gap to be filled with microscopic shrapnel, dust storms of ice that could tear the fragile instruments apart. They braced for a chaotic crossing. The spacecraft turned its main antenna forward, using it as a shield to protect its delicate heart. We often make mistakes when imagining space. We expect violence and destruction. But nature had a surprise waiting in the dark. The gap was not a battlefield, it was a sanctuary. When Cassini finally crossed the ring plane through that narrow gap, it sent the data back to Earth. The scientists waited in nervous silence, and what did they find? Nothing. Almost absolute nothingness. The audio sensors, which were expected to crackle like hail on a tin roof, registered only a few faint pings. The grand silence of the gap was shocking. It was a region of profound emptiness, swept clean by the complex gravitational tides of the rings and the planet. This discovery is a secret for dreamers. Sometimes, the places we fear the most, the gaps we think are filled with danger, are actually pockets of pure peace. The spacecraft sailed through this empty corridor with effortless grace, bathed in the soft light reflecting off the rings. As Cassini spent more time in this quiet gap, it made a stunning discovery. It found that the rings are slowly bleeding into the planet, a phenomenon known as ring rain. Imagine a gentle, endless drizzle of microscopic water ice falling from the heavens, spiraling down along the magnetic field lines of Saturn. The rings are not eternal. They are slowly, gracefully disappearing. They are feeding the giant. This cosmic rain is incredibly fine. You would not feel it if you stood in it. It is more of a mist, a vapor of frozen water slowly returning to the atmosphere of the planet. It is a beautiful, melancholic realization. The majestic rings we see today are a temporary masterpiece in the long life of the solar system. We are lucky to exist in the exact moment to witness them. But this ring rain was not just water. When Cassini tasted the falling mist, it found something miraculous. It found complex organic molecules. Methane, carbon monoxide, and other building blocks of chemistry. These are the precursors to life, trapped in the ice, now falling like a gentle snow into the churning atmosphere of the gas giant. Think of it as the universe recycling its most precious materials. The rings act as a freezer, preserving the ancient chemistry of the solar system, and now they are slowly defrosting. It is a bright example of how dynamic our universe is. Nothing is static, everything is in motion. Everything is transforming from one state of beauty to another. The chemistry of the cosmos is falling like rain in the dark. As we dive deeper, another mystery unfolds: the magnetic field of Saturn. Earth's magnetic field is tilted, which is why our magnetic North Pole is different from our geographic North Pole. This tilt is what scientists believe is necessary to generate a magnetic field inside a planet. But Cassini found that Saturn's magnetic field is almost perfectly aligned with its rotation axis. It is a symmetrical perfection that defies our current understanding of physics. It is a puzzle that remains unsolved. But there is comfort in the unknown. You do not need to be an astronaut or a physicist to appreciate the beauty of a mystery. Sometimes, it is enough to simply know that the universe is far more complex and orderly than we can comprehend. The perfect alignment is like a cosmic compass pointing directly to the heavens. How old are the rings of Saturn? This was a question that haunted astronomers for generations. Many assumed they formed alongside the planet over 4 billion years ago, but the data from Cassini's final orbits revealed a shocking truth. By measuring the mass of the rings as it flew beneath them, scientists determined that they are incredibly light, and because they are light, they cannot be old. If they were billions of years old, they would be darkened by the constant bombardment of cosmic dust. But they are bright. They are pristine. The rings are young. They likely formed only 10 to 100 million years ago. To put that in perspective, while dinosaurs were walking the Earth, looking up at the night sky, Saturn might not have had its rings. It might have been a bare, pale sphere. If the rings are young, how did they form? It is a story of majestic destruction. Imagine a moon, a world made entirely of brilliant white ice, about the size of our own moon. Millions of years ago, its orbit decayed. It drifted too close to Saturn. It crossed an invisible line called the Roche limit, where the gravity of the giant planet is so strong it overwhelms the gravity holding the moon together. The moon didn't just crash, it shattered. It was gently, powerfully pulled apart into a trillion shimmering fragments. Those fragments spread out, colliding and grinding down over millions of years to form the rings we see today. From the death of a single moon came the most beautiful halo in the cosmos. It is a reminder that out of chaos and destruction, profound beauty can emerge. Now we lower our gaze from the rings to the planet itself. As Cassini approached the upper atmosphere, the colors became richer. We often see Saturn as a uniform beige from Earth. But up close, it is a painting of soft pastels, subtle bands of cream, soft butterscotch, pale grey, and delicate hints of blue. These bands are vast, sweeping clouds of ammonia and water, stretched around the planet by violent winds. The atmosphere is moving at hundreds of miles per hour. Yet, because there are no sharp edges, no solid ground to cause friction, the movement looks incredibly smooth. It is a fluid, hypnotic motion. The violent storms are masked by a soft, misty veil. It is an incredibly calming sight, a reminder that even the most turbulent energies can appear peaceful from the right perspective. At the very top of the world, at Saturn's North Pole, lies one of the most bizarre and beautiful sights in the universe, the hexagon. It is a geometric shape, an almost perfect six-sided polygon, framing the entire North Pole. It is vast. You could fit several Earths inside of it. When we think of storms, we think of circles, like hurricanes. But here, fluid dynamics and the deep rotation of the planet have created a crisp, mathematical shape out of flowing gas. The walls of the hexagon reach deep into the atmosphere, acting as a barrier. It is a bright example of nature acting like an artist, drawing straight lines in a world made entirely of swirling clouds. It is hard to believe that such perfect geometry can exist naturally, but the universe is full of mathematical wonders. Let us drift closer to this geometric marvel. Inside the very center of the hexagon lies a hurricane. But it is a hurricane unlike anything on Earth. Its eye is 50 times larger than the average terrestrial storm. The winds swirl in a mesmerizing vortex of deep red and emerald green clouds. Staring into the center of this storm is like looking into the eye of a cosmic beast. Yet, it does not induce fear. The sheer scale and the slow, majestic rotation make it hypnotic. It is a drain in the sky, spinning endlessly, perfectly balanced in the center of the geometric frame. Imagine floating above this eye, weightless, watching the clouds spiral down into the deep, mysterious interior of the gas giant. It is a view that instantly makes all our earthly problems seem vanishingly small. Before we take the final plunge, let us look back one last time at the moons Cassini explored. The most startling of them all is Enceladus. It is a tiny world, glowing with a brilliant, unblemished white. It is covered in fresh, clean ice, making it the most reflective object in the solar system. From afar, it looks completely frozen and dead, a solid ball of frost. But Cassini discovered a secret hidden at its south pole, deep cracks in the ice, affectionately called tiger stripes. And from these glowing blue canyons, the moon is breathing. It is shooting massive geysers of water vapor and ice crystals hundreds of miles into the dark vacuum of space. It is a mesmerizing display of internal energy, proving that this icy world is beautifully, violently alive. These geysers of Enceladus are not just a visual spectacle, they are a profound scientific revelation. Cassini actually flew right through the plumes, tasting the spray. When it analyzed the water, it found something that changed everything. It found salt. It found silica nanoparticles, which can only be formed in hot water touching rock. It found carbon-based molecules. This shattered a major myth. We used to believe that the outer solar system was too cold for liquid water. But here, beneath the ice of Enceladus, is a global ocean. It is kept warm by the gravitational tug-of-war with Saturn. An alien, dark, warm ocean, churning deep below the crust. It is a place where life could theoretically exist, floating in the dark waters, entirely separate from the light of our sun. We must also remember Titan, the largest of Saturn's moons. When you look at Titan, you do not see ice or craters. You see a thick, impenetrable haze of orange smog. It looks like a fuzzy, apricot-colored sphere. This thick atmosphere is unique among moons. It is made mostly of nitrogen, much like Earth's early atmosphere. Titan is often described as a primordial Earth, a world frozen in time, preserving the conditions that might have existed before life arose on our own planet. The smog is so thick that sunlight barely penetrates it, casting the surface in a perpetual, eerie orange twilight. It is a quiet, moody world, a place of deep shadows and chemical mysteries, patiently waiting in the cold. Through the haze, Cassini deployed the Huygens probe, which slowly parachuted to the surface of Titan. The images it sent back were astonishing. It revealed a landscape that felt strangely familiar, yet profoundly alien. There were riverbeds, carved by flowing liquids. But these rivers were not filled with water. It is far too cold for liquid water. These rivers are filled with liquid methane and ethane. It is a world where natural gas exists as rain, rivers, and vast, dark lakes. The rocks on the surface are actually chunks of water ice, frozen harder than granite. Imagine standing on a beach of ice pebbles, looking out over a completely still, black lake of liquid methane, under a sky of dense orange fog. It is a breathtakingly quiet place, a serene, frozen reflection of our own world. Back in the rings, there are smaller, weirder worlds, moons like Pan and Atlas. These are the shepherd moons. They live right inside the rings, clearing gaps with their gravity. They ensure the sharp, crisp edges of the ice tracks. But their shape is what makes them remarkable. Over millions of years, they have swept up the ring material around their equators, causing them to bulge outward. They look exactly like flying saucers or cosmic ravioli. This bright example of gravitational accumulation shows how dynamic the rings are. The moons and the rings are constantly interacting, trading dust and ice in an endless slow-motion ballet. They are the unseen hands, shaping the grooves of a cosmic vinyl record. September 2017. The time for observation has passed. The grand finale reaches its climax. Cassini is on its final, fatal trajectory. It is falling toward the planet at over 77,000 miles per hour. But there is no sense of rushing. In the vastness of space, the motion feels slow, inevitable, and strangely calming. The spacecraft approaches the daylight side of Saturn. The golden clouds expand until they fill the entire field of view. The rings are now above us, casting long, sharp shadows across the hazy atmosphere. We are sinking. We are leaving the vacuum behind and entering the physical embrace of the giant. The long journey is finally culminating in a moment of pure, beautiful contact. This is it, the upper atmosphere of Saturn. The spacecraft brushes against the alien air. For the first time, humanity is touching a gas giant. You might think it would be a sudden, violent crash, but there is no surface to strike, only an endless, sinking descent. The gases are thin here, lighter than a whisper. The sensors feel the first delicate resistance of hydrogen and helium. It is like running your hand through calm water. The friction begins to build slowly, gently warming the protective shielding of the probe. Cassini is not just observing anymore, it is tasting the sky. It is feeling the physical breath of Saturn. It is a transition from floating to falling, an incredibly peaceful surrender to gravity. As Cassini sinks deeper, the light begins to change. The bright, pale gold of the upper clouds dims into a twilight of deep mustard and olive tones. The pressure mounts. The atmosphere is thickening. The spacecraft fires its small thrusters, fighting to keep its antenna pointed back toward Earth, transmitting every possible drop of data. It is a heroic effort. The probe is acting as our proxy, feeling the crushing weight of the atmosphere so we don't have to. The sounds of the thrusters, the hum of the electronics, the rushing roar of the atmospheric friction, all of it blends into a symphony of a machine doing its final duty. It is a deeply moving thought. A small metal explorer from Earth, entirely alone, bravely descending into the crushing dark. If we could survive the descent, what would we see as we fell deeper still? We would pass the cloud decks of ammonia. We would sink into the layer of ammonium hydrosulfide, where the storms rage in darkness. Lightning, thousands of times more powerful than on Earth, flashes in the thick clouds, illuminating the descent for brief, violent moments. But even this violence is muffled by the immense density of the gas. The pressure continues to build until the concept of gas loses its meaning. The atmosphere becomes a supercritical fluid, a state of matter where the distinction between liquid and gas disappears. It is an ocean without a surface, a dense, crushing soup of hydrogen and helium that surrounds everything in a tight, inescapable grip. Deeper still, thousands of miles below the cloud tops, lies the true engine of Saturn. The pressure here is so intense that hydrogen gas is squeezed until its electrons flow freely. It becomes metallic hydrogen, a liquid metal that conducts electricity, churning and swirling with the heat of the planet. This deep, metallic dynamo is what generates the immense magnetic field that reaches out into space. It is a place of unimaginable heat and pressure, entirely hidden from the universe, working in absolute darkness to protect the planet and shape the rings. We will never see it. We can only imagine it. It is the beating heart of the giant. And what of the core? For decades we pictured a solid ball of rock and ice at the center of gas giants, but Saturn challenges this myth. Recent data suggests the core is not a solid sphere, but a fuzzy or diffuse core. The rocks and ice are mixed with the liquid metallic hydrogen, forming a slushy, indistinct center that extends far outward. There is no hard boundary, no solid ground to stand on, only a gradual, infinite thickening of matter. It is a beautiful metaphor for the universe itself. The deeper we look, the less rigid boundaries become. Everything blends into everything else. A seamless transition from the vacuum of space to the dense, hot center of a world. 83 minutes. That is how long it takes for light and radio signals to travel from Saturn to Earth. On September 15, 2017, the scientists at NASA sat in absolute silence watching a single green line on a monitor. That line was Cassini's heartbeat, its final transmission. Because of the delay, the spacecraft had already been gone for over an hour before Earth even knew it. We were listening to a ghost. For 83 minutes, its final whispers traveled across the empty void, carrying the last secrets of the atmosphere. And then, seamlessly, gently, the green line went flat. The signal disappeared. There was no explosion on the monitors, just a quiet fading into the background static of the cosmos. In its final moments, Cassini became a meteor. The friction of the dense atmosphere was too much. The spacecraft heated up, glowing brilliantly, melting and vaporizing in seconds. It did not crash, it dissolved. The aluminum, the titanium, the instruments that had shown us so much beauty all melted into the alien sky. The atoms of the spacecraft mixed with the hydrogen and helium of the planet. Cassini didn't just visit Saturn, it became a part of it. The probe that originated on Earth is now permanently woven into the atmosphere of the golden giant. It is a poetic conclusion. From the dust of Earth to the clouds of Saturn, a continuous cycle of cosmic matter. The legacy of Cassini is not one of sorrow. It is one of profound peace and accomplishment. It showed us that the universe is not just empty space and dead rocks. It is a dynamic, fluid, deeply beautiful place. It showed us oceans where we thought there was only ice. It showed us geometry where we expected chaos. By destroying the probe, we preserved the future. We ensured that if life ever blossoms in the warm, dark oceans of Enceladus, it will do so undisturbed. The giant continues to spin in the dark, wearing its halo of shattered ice. And we are left with the quiet satisfaction of knowing that for a brief moment in time, we reached out across the void and touched a masterpiece. As we slowly drift back from the golden clouds of Saturn, leaving the quiet rings and the icy moons behind, take a moment to appreciate the stillness. We have crossed millions of miles, we have plunged into the heart of a giant, and we have witnessed a beautiful, silent end that protects the promise of life. The noise of Earth may return, but the peace of the deep cosmos is always there, waiting for you to simply close your eyes and remember. Thank you for taking this cosmic journey with us. If the gentle silence of space brought you comfort, please subscribe, leave a like, and let us know in the comments. Are we alone in the universe, or is life waiting for us in the dark oceans of an icy moon?